Hey everyone, Tyler here. Today I wanted to talk about the Lightstorm 600d Pro and why it is my most utilized light in my lighting kit. And if you are building out a production company or you are kind of a solo filmmaker and you have your own lighting kit, why I think this light is a must-have in your kit. Now, I've had this light ever since it came out. In fact, this was like the fastest pre-order button I've ever clicked in my life because I knew that this light was going to fill so many production needs and gaps in my current lighting kit at the time. So as soon as it was announced, I hit that pre-order button and was so stoked when it came in. I put it right to work as soon as I got it. So this video is kind of like a long-term review. Can't remember when it came out. Was it 2020? Is that when it came out? Anyways, whenever it came out, I've had it since then. And I think it's a really good time to talk about this light because it's definitely not a new light on the market. And you know, when new products come out, there's a lot of times hype around them. But 3 years or however many years later after purchasing this light, I'm just as excited about it now as I was when I purchased it. And I honestly can't say that about every piece of gear that I've purchased. Looking at you gimbals. All right, so why do I have such high praise for this light? Well, there's two main reasons, and it really boils down to power and it being point source. And with that combination, it makes it an extremely versatile light to have in your kit. Number one, let's talk about power. Before I got this light, the most powerful point source light I had in my kit was the Lightstorm 300d Mark II. And while that light is a fantastic light, I still have it, I still use it all the time, there were some limitations with it, especially when filming interviews in daylight interiors where you are trying to match exposure with a window on a bright sunny day, for example. The 300d really just sometimes just couldn't quite cut it. It just wasn't enough output, especially when being diffused in a softbox and you're losing that light output from the diffusion. Sometimes it just wasn't enough output to be able to battle that window light. But enter the 600d Pro and that issue really is non-existent anymore because of that added output. Now, more so on the output, probably one of my favorite uses for this light is adding the F10 Fresnel in front of it and putting it outside and throwing that light through a window. I use this combination all the time just as a way for me to create some more texture on a back wall or on a floor or something, just to kind of add some texture, some dimension and depth to the image. And the output combination of the 600d Pro with the F10 Fresnel is usually, in most cases, enough to fill out a relatively small area. It's not something that can fill out a much bigger area, something like the 1200d Pro could do, which hopefully doing a video on that here in the future. But in most cases, the 600d Pro has been enough for me to be able to just push light through a window just to create some texture. And additionally, since there is quite a bit of output and power, I can usually throw on like a CTS gel, like a quarter CTS or something like that, in front of the F10 Fresnel. And what that allows me to do is just warm up that light just to kind of make it look like some afternoon sun is coming through the window as opposed to the daylight balance, which is what the light is balanced to. Now, mentioning the F10 Fresnel is a great segue into the next point, and the fact that it is a point source light. It has a Bowens mount, so you can use hard light modifiers like the F10 Fresnel or the Spotlight or Spotlight Max, we'll do Spotlight Max, but you can also put soft boxes in front of it. So you can use something like the Light Dome 3 or the Light Dome 150 if you want to have a really giant softbox, and those are great to be able to create really soft light. And with the added output, you're able to kind of maximize the use of those bigger softboxes. And the benefit there is you get softer light, and if you are in a bigger space, if you have a little bit wider of a frame, you can pull that back a little bit and still get that same quality of light as if you were to use a Light Dome 3 with it being much closer. So like in this shot right here, we used a 600D with a giant softbox to create really soft light, and then we actually used another 600D outside with the F10 Fresnel to create some fake sunlight coming in through that back window, and it just adds some texture and all that good stuff to just add more realism and make the image look a lot more natural. So to wrap this up, I want to say, like, I'm not here to go tell you how to go spend your money. You make your own money, and it's your hard-earned money, and you spend it the way you want. But people ask me all the time, hey, what light do you recommend? Like, I'm starting up freelance, like I've got some budget for some equipment, like what would you recommend? Most of the time, for production stuff, for freelance and solo filmmaker, production companies, whatever, the 600D is at the top of the list because of the reasons that I mentioned before. You can use it for a key light, you can use it for exposure lifts in big locations, you can push the light through a window. The additional output is really beneficial for book lights and all that stuff. So I really think the 600D Pro is a fantastic, and it probably should be one of the first lights that you get for your productions. And the reason why I bring up production companies is because this light is definitely more geared towards film production than it is solely for content creation. That's not to say content creators can't benefit from this light. I mean, obviously content creators can benefit from any light. And if you are kind of if you're starting to make money and make a living off of content creation, that's awesome. And I think this would be a great light to be able to utilize for your content creation. I use it all the time for my YouTube videos because of all the reasons that I mentioned before. So if you're maybe doing slow motion B-roll or something of a product, that added output of the 600D might really help you out to be able to match that exposure. And if you're trying to get a deep depth of field and shooting at a f8 or something like that, and you want to get the whole product in focus, well, you're going to have additional output to be able to compensate for that light loss, and the 600D Pro would be a great light for that. So it's definitely a multi-use light. Content creators can definitely benefit from it, but I'm talking more from the production companies, the freelancers and the solo filmmakers and stuff that are kind of building out their own kit. I highly recommend getting a 600D Pro in your kit, especially if you are in the Aputure ecosystem. Aputure lights are becoming very popular. They have become very popular in the indie and professional filmmaking world because of their quality of build quality and their quality of lights. Their actual measurements and everything are, the lights that they use are really accurate, which is good because then it helps us out for color accuracy in filmmaking. Well, I am blabbering on, and I just realized that my case for my TC SL1 is sitting on the ground. So it's a good move, Tyler. And that's what you get when you have about 35 minutes to set up, film, and tear down before this office is used for more important things than filming a YouTube video. So thank you so much for watching. I will leave links to these lights down below if you are considering getting one. And there's actually a non-pro version of the 600D, which can save you even more money if you don't need some of the added features of the Pro lights, which you can check on Aputure's website to kind of figure out the differences there. But I will leave links to those in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and this might be the last video of the year. So if it is, that's a wrap.